All right, man. There's a rumor going around started by Adrian Wojnarowski that the Detroit Pistons are or could be moving up for Jaden Ivey. They one of a few teams that's interested and moved up for Ivey, and obviously they got the most leverage with the fifth pick out of the teams that were named. Which is our Detroit Pistons Talk playlist. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. That subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance. Get notifications. We go live or drop a video. So hold on. Here it is. 1 second.
Buzz around well, several of the players, but in particular, Jaden Ivey. Woj, what can you tell us?
Greedy, that number 4 pick that the Sacramento Kings hold is very much in play. There are a lot of teams trying to get deals done with Sacramento so they can move up to select Jaden Ivey. That's teams close to them in the lottery. Detroit, Indiana, who are 5 and 6. The New York Knicks at 11, Washington Wizards at number 10, and even some teams outside of the lottery. Listen, Sacramento's asking price is going to be significant to move in there. I think they see this as essentially a 4-player draft. There's a drop-off after 4. Monty McNair, their GM. You can expect him to be on the phones in this next week as we get closer to Thursday's draft. And if they're going to move that pick, I think they expect they're going to get a lot in return. But Jaden Ivey is certainly a point guard that among several teams in the lottery and out who'd like to get their, who'd like to get at him. They've already talked to Sacramento. They'll continue to do that here.
So there you go. So apparently, Pistons fall in one spot from the projected lottery projection is going to hurt them. And like I said before, is it worth moving up all the way to get them? Honestly, they asked for a lot, just to move up a spot. I mean, up to you, and then what your board look like, and what your free agency look like. That's the $1 million question. So, personally, bro, you could fetch another lottery pick with Jeremy Grant. In this scenario, you probably be moving Jeremy Grant there just to get him. You could be mortgaging in the future just to get Jaden Ivey. And long story short, NBA played us. So, mm, what they willing to give up? You know, you gotta look at what would they play be. I mean, you like them a lot. The Knicks like them a lot. Don't mean Sacramento gonna make a deal. Sacramento could just take them. So I mean, depends on how you rate Shay Sharp. I mean, if I'm moving up, I'm gonna give up a lot. Why not move up to 3? No, so I doubt if you can move up to 3. I mean, could you make a deal with Houston? They move from 3, they move to 5. I mean, could you make a deal? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Like I said before, I don't know. I mean, you always got the free agent money in the back of it too. And the positive thing about it, can you get Sacramento just to absorb Jeremy Grant contract? If they can just say, well, here go the 5th pick, we take Jeremy Grant for the 5th pick, and we take the 5th pick, Jeremy Grant for the 4th pick. Now, if you can do that, it's a positive. One thing positive about it, if they absorb that 20 million, that's 20 million you get off the cap. So you got projected around 28 million. Now you got 50 million in cap space. So that's really like a lottery pick, and you still got some money for playing free agency. So in that case, the thing about it is you got to know who you're gonna strike for in free agency. But around 50 million, I mean, if you can find somebody to absorb Kelly Olynyk contract, you could have 60, or you could just wait till next year to move that contract. You got $50 million to spend. I mean, at the end of the day, you can do a lot with that. Obviously, I like going after Muhammad Bamba, Thomas Bryant, some guys that might not get the max, but the guard position is what people would be worried about. I mean, you still, if you have Jaden Ivey in that situation, Jaden Ivey, Cade, Bay, you'll have $50 million. So I mean, how would you attack it? You know what I'm saying? That's the question. I mean, you take 30 of the 50 and go after Zach LaVine, if you could. I mean, I doubt it. You got Ivy. Did you ask somebody like Joe Ingles off the bench? Possibly. I mean, obviously everybody like DeAndre Ayton. I think with Ivy, The fit not that bad because you upgrade the athleticism, but like I said before, you know, it's interesting. It's very interesting. Now, when you look at it, if they're able to do that and they're able to absorb, that's the thing. You got to get Sacramento to absorb that contract. If you get Sacramento to absorb that contract straight up, fifth, Jeremy Grant, and fourth, it's really not that bad. So the question is, like, where do you fill out your roster at? Obviously, there would be a huge hole at the four position in that scenario. That's the one thing you're looking at. You look at the four position, there's a huge hole, but you start to look, you're really looking at 4 and 5. And what you're looking at in this scenario, you're looking at 4 and 5. Would I throw Isaiah Stewart, Killian Hayes? Only people I'm really not trading in that scenario, Bay, Cade, Isaiah Livers. Anybody else can go. So what you look at, you say, well, at the four position, Bagley, he more of a 5. Today is 5. So you look and say, man, well, who can help us? And one of the dudes I go through instantly is Markieff Morris. That's one of the dudes I go right to is Markieff Morris. You know what I'm saying? So Markieff Morris is probably the guy you bring back. You sign, you pick him up. Probably 10 million a year, 12, something like that. Jermichael Green. If he opt out, you could pick up him. Montrezl Harrell has some issues. So that's what you're looking at. But if you're gonna spend big, you can look at the fours in general. If you're gonna do it in the scenario, you look and say, you know, so really, you still looking at Jermichael Green. You're looking at, uh, guys like Markieff Morris. So those are the guys in the vacuum that you're looking at to hold it down at the four position for now, unless you was able to make a deal. You wouldn't trade for Julius Randle, so I'm not sure who all out there. But then you go, the center, and this is pretty much where most of your money gonna go to, and the rest probably go to the bench. And obviously I'm not a fan of DeAndre Ayton, Yusuf Nurkic. I don't think that's the fit. I like Mohamed Bamba. Understand there could be something missing there, but I just like the upside. Um, uh, oh, somebody else in there. Oh yeah, Thomas Bryant. Like some of the upsides you get there, but Mo Bamba is the one I'm taking the flyer on. Probably get him for like $15 million a year, somewhere in there. If I did trade Olenek, then I look for JaVale McGee to come off the bench. But those are the dudes I'm looking at. But taking Jaden Ivey may not, DeAndre Ayton thing may not be as bad. But one thing you need is somebody that's gonna get in there and defend, who gonna anchor the Pistons. And like I said, if you can get him to show you the effort, you can't get mad at it. Then last year he was 17 and 10 rebounds. But like I said, that validity of the numbers he putting up is solid. Can't get mad at it. They solid, but you need to defend and anchor. Somebody's going to be the heart and soul of the Detroit Pistons. So, in the event that you do, move, um, in the event that you do move for Jaden Ivey, will you upgrade it athletically? In my opinion, if I go Grant fifth for the fourth, I take Ivy at 4, right? But I'm thinking about taking Ivy at 4. The one thing you got to tell yourself is it a big enough gap between Ivy and the next guy on my board for me to go up and take Ivy? Is it a big enough gap? That is the $1,000,000 question. If it's not a gap and Shaden Sharp is nipping at his heels, then you take Shaden Sharp. But if it's a gap and you really believe in in Ivy, you take him. You hope that Sacramento can just absorb Jeremy Grant's contract. That's what you hoping. That's what you hoping. You hoping that he can absorb Jeremy Grant's contract. If that happens, you still got Olenek's expiring contract too. Maybe hold on that to for some collateral next season. But if you do that, you have about 50 million in cap space. So you have about 50 million in cap space. So if you have about 50 million in cap space, you know, whew, you can say something next year. But me personally, in this scenario, who would I go for? Some of the guys I go for, bro. In that scenario, I would flag a flyer on Mo Bamba. That's my opinion. I would take the flyer on him. I understand people. I'm just taking a flyer on the potential. I could be wrong there, but the length, the athleticism. I go Mo Bamba. If I get him about 15 million, maybe 15 to 20, that's a risk. I go Mo Bamba. I go Markieff Morris. That round out my starting five. Markieff was just a placeholder. If I can find a four, if somebody trading a four that I really like and I can get him, I won't mind taking him. But just Markieff Morris in this situation. Um, some guys off the bench. I mean, you got Livers or Lennox in this situation. Hold on to Lennox, Livers. Um, you know, let's say Stewart or Bagley come back, whatever. So I look at the guard position and look at guys like Jared Culliver. Um, somebody who ain't really reached his potential in the league yet. Somebody like Jared Culliver. I think the potential's still there. Um, you like what he do defensively, and maybe you just he don't bring a lot of shooting, but just somebody that 23 years old and 6th round pick not too long ago. So I think when you look at it, he got a chance. You keep looking to fill out your bench, and you look at guys like Byron Forbes that can shoot it. Um, Lonnie Walker Jr. is another guy that you look at. Some injuries, younger, but like I said, a lot of athleticism. Can score the ball. So had 12 points last year. Not a big shooter. So Culliver and Lonnie would just be betting on the potential. So that's what you'll be doing, betting on the potential there. Um, and I love Gary Payton. Payton the second, good defensive minded off the bench. So I mean, you got some dudes. Lou Dort, not a lot of shooting though. So yeah, you see some of these dudes in there, man. Um, so some of the dudes, either Culliver or Lonnie Walker, I take a flyer on. Gary Payton the second. You need some shooting as well too. So I mean, possibly, Byron Forbes for the shooting. So some of the guys I be looking to bring in, and then that'd be it. That'd be some guys just round out my bench with Livers, the catalyst. Lennox give you some shooting, Livers give you some shooting. You bring in Lonnie or Jared Culliver, give you some potential. Maybe it could work. You bring in somebody like Byron Forbes that could fill it up, Gabe Payton second that could defend, or something like that. But there's probably some other deals to be made out there too. But just my opinion, man, on it. But let me know what you girls and guys think. Don't forget we start the podcast, and I'm going to upgrade the link tree shortly so you can have links to Spotify and Anchor on the podcast. But if I forget, it's in the community tab. It's on Twitter. You can reach it, man. So reach me there. But financially, you want to support the channel, Cash App, $ CJ Good 313, Venmo CJ Good 313, PayPal link description. Um, Hit my link tree. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. In a minute, you're gonna be able to, you know, find me on Spotify Anchor for the live shows I do in the podcast, ad free there. It'll be going up the next morning, about 8, 9 a.m. the next morning. So let me know what you girls and guys think. Appreciate the love, support. Take Detroit Pistons Talk Palace out for more videos like this. Peace.